Surviving the Survivor, we bring you the best guests in all of true crime. Don't forget to subscribe and smash that like button. Here's your host, Emmy Award-winning broadcaster, Joel Waldman.
What's up, STS Nation? Welcome to Surviving the Survivor. It is the show that brings you the very best guests in all of true crime on trending criminal cases. There is no bigger trial in all of America right now than Sean Diddy Combs versus the United States government. Today is week 4, day 17 of this explosive federal racketeering and sex trafficking trial. People wondering right now, sounds like the sex trafficking portion of this has been proven to at least a beyond a reasonable doubt degree. Some people are questioning the racketeering, and that brings us to some of the testimony today about a woman who alleges that she was dangled off a 17th floor balcony. This morning's testimony, of course, was all about the jury will believe this dramatic moment. Of course, we're talking about Cassie Ventura's longtime friend, a woman named Brianna Bongolan, who they are still apparently friends. And she described on the witness stand yesterday and into today how Sean Combs allegedly dangled her over this 17th story balcony back in 2016. Which seemed to be a year full of anger for Sean Diddy Combs, because that is the same year we saw the video of Cassie Ventura being beaten not far from where he dangled this woman in Los Angeles. Next up, after this witness, and she is done, there's going to be a guy named Enrique Santos, and after him, he's only expected to be on the stand a very short time. We've got Jane Doe, but just going by Jane, the pseudonym Jane. She's another victim of Sean Diddy Combs. The victims have lasted anywhere, the direct victims, I should say, from 3 to 4 days on the stand. So we can expect a hefty, direct examination followed by a cross. Brianna Bongolan, I believe, is done for the day. Now, the morning got off to a very late start. Testimony did not begin till about 2 hours ago. So they are on a lunch break, from what I understand at the moment. What the defense did here, they were on cross right away, and they essentially challenged the timeline of this balcony incident, because what else is a defense attorney going to do? They're challenging the timeline. They're basically saying that Sean, and by the way, Cassie Ventura also testified to this. So now they're essentially saying, well, both these people are wrong. But the defense is arguing that Sean Combs could not have attacked Bongolan. This was in New York City. I'm sorry, not in Los Angeles. For some reason, I thought this was in Los Angeles, but could not have attacked Bongolan in New York City. This goes back to September 25th through 26th of 2016. That's because Sean Combs was performing his Bad Boy reunion tour in Newark, New Jersey, different state, but nearby, on September 25th. September 26th, both Sean Combs and Cassie Ventura attended a New York City event. Hotel records here from the Trump International show that he checked in on the 24th of 2016, checked out on the 29th. The receipts show Combs in New York City. So the dangling, I apologize. The dangling was in Los Angeles, and they're saying he was in New York City. Got confused by my own notes. My apologies. So he could not have been in two places at one time. Again, that he had a album or a concert tour in the Newark, New Jersey area, so therefore he couldn't be at two places at the same time. Combs texted Bongolan here on a separate occasion, if you're going to do K, and we learned that K is ketamine, because both Sean Diddy Combs and Cassie Ventura did this frequently. If you're going to do K with her, meaning Cassie, at least have her back, essentially saying that in another text message that friends should stop each other from making mistakes when high. What a considerate individual. He's putting out a public service announcement saying that friends should stop each other from making mistakes when high. What a wonderful man to point that out. Asked if this meant that Sean Combs wanted her to stop using drugs with Cassie, Bongolan simply said on the witness stand, "I cannot speak for him." I have a feeling the answer to that is probably not. So it didn't seem like Diddy cared too much about the drugs, but maybe because she was not doing them with Diddy, but doing them with Brianna Bongolan. The defense with a pointed question, and then they hammered it around this question, hammered home around this question, which is why maintain contact with Cassie Ventura and Sean Combs after you were dangled off a balcony. Weeks after the incident, Brianna Bongolan texted Cassie Ventura offering to get Sean Combs a hoodie. October 9th, 2016. Bongolan agrees to sleep over at Cassie Ventura's apartment. This is now 2 weeks after the incident. The defense asked the following question, and I quote, you hung out with Sean Combs and stayed at Cassie Ventura's house because Combs didn't injure you? Part of that statement, she says, is correct. Part I can't agree with. So the defense is going to defense, and that's what the defense is doing. They're basically saying, look, you were dangled off this balcony, and now you're back for more. You're offering to get him a hoodie, and you basically are saying that you're willing to stay at the home with the both of them. So how scared and how scarred can you really be? And this is a repetitive sort of scenario that we've seen, a pattern, if you will, where these victims have returned to the quote unquote proverbial scene of the crime. But we all know that women who are either and men who are physically or verbally abused and go through an issue of coercive control likely come back because it is a pattern of violence and abuse that continues. And again, that magic number is supposed to be about 7 before someone could actually break away from this cycle of violence. And once again, it is a question of whether the jurors on this panel are going to understand that, whether they're going to care to understand it. We've already had one psychologist on the stand. It'll be curious to see if the government brings up another psychologist at the end to sort of put a bow on all this. We don't know. Purple Coconut said he got away with too much for too long. That is for damn sure, no matter which way you look at it. So she said she would occasionally see Sean Combs after this. She did admit to that. This is now Brianna Bongolan, but kept a distance. She did on October 4th of 2016 attend his concert and said, and I quote, "I don't think I was around him most of the time." October 5th, the next day, she went to Sean Combs's rented club and did not wear. She was questioned about this because she was wearing a neck brace at one point, but says she was not wearing it when she went to this club, and said, "I probably should have, but didn't." And then she was directly and pointedly asked, "Are you afraid of Sean Combs?" And she says, "I kept my distance." And listen, this is like a difficult thing because this is a situation where you're around a very powerful, famous person, and he's got concerts like you see here. And it's like human nature. I think you're caught between a rock and a hard place. Do I go? I've got these concert tickets, or I'm sure they were free for her, backstage, whatever it was. So there's like a push and a pull, but the jurors again are gonna have to decide the severity of the violence and the abuse that this woman suffered. They asked, did Cassie Ventura, who, by the way, testified about this, did she actually witness the balcony incident? Did she see you get dangled over the 17th floor? And she says, and I quote here, I heard her voice during the incident, but I cannot speak for her. I heard her voice. You told prosecutors that Cassie Ventura saw it, and she says, I spoke to them, but again, I don't recall. So if it's not bad enough that she was dangled over a 17th, which, by the way, up to this point, with what we've heard so far, I'm surprised it wasn't 21st, 23rd, or 27th floor balcony. But, they're being re-victimized on the cross, which is, you can't blame the defense. That's their job. But it is an ugly set of circumstances in terms of what they've got to deal with in court, as well as what they're dealing with in real life. Now, there was a final moment of cross-examination late in the morning before a short redirect. And now the defense comes out and says basically that you're lying. You're lying, Brianna Bongal. And the direct quote is, Mr. Combs did not cause you the injuries shown on your phone. And they show a photo from September 26th of 2016. She says, I can't agree with you. The final question, which isn't a question, but really a statement, the defense says, you lied to this jury. Bongolan says, I can't agree with you, at which point the cross-examination ends. So I think this is probably the most aggressive moment with the defense on a victim, or even any witness in this case. And that happened today, just now, before lunch today, where, again, Brianna Bongolan, the woman who alleges she was dangled off the 17th floor, the defense just outright says, you're lying to this jury. We have not seen that aggressive a posture that I can recall in this trial until today. And then after that, she has to answer a few more questions. So Madison Smizer comes up to question her on redirect. And Madison Smizer, of course, is an assistant United States attorney. Cassie Ventura, they point out, asked to name Brianna Bongolan in a lawsuit. They say there was only one conversation between Brianna Bongolan and Cassie Ventura about Cassie Ventura's November 23rd lawsuit. Cassie Ventura asked if she could name Bongolan in connection specifically with the balcony incident. So they're bringing this up as to the relevance and the fact that she didn't lie, because when Cassie Ventura files her own lawsuit, the 2023 one, the main point that Cassie Ventura wanted to get into that filing was this whole thing that apparently she did witness, which is Sean Diddy Combs dangling Brianna over the 17th floor balcony. All this, as the defense says, hey, you're lying. This never happened. Bongolan did agree. Brianna did agree to be cited in this lawsuit. I guess she was asked permission just to be named in this lawsuit, and she agreed. But she said she didn't know the details of what ultimately would be included in the lawsuit. Later, after the lawsuit was filed, Brianna Bongolan tells Cassie Ventura, and I quote here, some details about the balcony incident were incorrect, and told Cassie Ventura, quote unquote, exactly what happened to me. So some of the details were skewed in the civil lawsuit, and Brianna went and clarified them, I guess, after the fact with Cassie Ventura. But the point here is, if she's doing that, the assumption is that number one, it happened and it wasn't a fabricated incident like the defense is claiming, and that Cassie Ventura at least knew about it at the very least. So I should know this, but I'm not 100% sure who Enrique Santos is. He's going to be up for a moment. They say it's going to be very brief after lunch. And then the next big and final victim in this case, direct victim, and that is Jane. And Jane is expected to read text messages and conversations aloud on the stand. Again, she's going to be re-traumatized by this. There's no doubt. The judge already ruled that exhibits will not be publicly shown because they want to conceal her identity, even in the overflow room. But she will be reading these text message exchanges, and the court will put the transcript of this into the record. So the photos and pictures and video of Jane will be basically under seal, but the text messages will be admitted into evidence. And prosecutors confirming this morning, confirm that this is going to happen, that Jane is going to get on the stand, and that the testimony is going to be very closely monitored by them so that they meet the standards that have been set by Judge Arun Subramanian. Just a couple of sort of ancillary notes. Legal experts are basically saying, and there was one quoted, a woman named Elise Adamson, and she says that the dangling of Brianna Bongolan over the 17th floor balcony is quote unquote mob-like behavior, and that is something that absolutely needs to be established for the RICO charges, which is really the racketeering and conspiracy. Elise, this legal expert, tells CNN, and she's talking about Sean Combs, and I quote here, says he needs to be behaving in a pattern of abuse, threats, and violence. That's the theme. Feel like he's been doing that already. I don't know how much more of a pattern you need. Also notable is that Brianna Bongolan was not an intimate or sexual partner of Sean Diddy Combs, which this legal expert says actually strengthens the pattern argument, because he's doing this to people who are not just lovers or people he was sleeping with or having relations with, but he was doing it to anyone and everyone in his orbit. This legal expert, says that the dangling over the balcony incident was extremely impactful, with the caveat, if the jury believes it. And the defense strategy, she went on to say, was very surgical, meaning that they're looking to just get one juror, just one holdout juror, to say, hey, yeah, I don't buy this. And therefore, the entire RICO part of this falls apart. Again, the charges here: racketeering, conspiracy, sex trafficking. Combs has pleaded not guilty. He is facing up to life in prison. There are other charges involved as well. And that's a wrap. This is very short. Typically, we go about 30 minutes here, but this testimony this morning got off to about a 2-hour delay. They just started court late today. So I'm going to look through some comments here and see if there's anything that jumps out to me. This one for sure, because I'm a Jersey guy. The whole hanging a woman off the balcony is a Tony Soprano move. Diddy is evil incarnate. I mean, I don't know what else you need to see in this trial, to be honest, to make a decision, because either you are telling yourself as a juror, yeah, this guy was a despicable human being who sex trafficked these women, and sex trafficking includes force, or coercion, and it does not have to be all three. And if we haven't seen either force, fraud, or coercion in a sexual manner and otherwise in this case, then I don't know what we've seen. And then the racketeering, literally have someone being dangled off a balcony. You've got multiple instances where Sean Combs is chasing people with guns. You've got an incident where he is like a criminal thug, essentially firebombing Kid Cudi's car. Now, again, there was never, thank you for the compliment, Purple Coconut, on the hat. We were selling these. I don't know if we still are. If we are, they would be in the store, but we can ask the COE about that. Thank you, Pink Panther. I appreciate this. It has been a wacky week, so I apologize. The in-laws are in town. Carm was retrieved from the airport, which is why I seem as tired as I do, because I had to go get her at 6 a.m, and I'm not a morning person. So Carm is back on American soil, and she's going to graduation after she rests up. What's going on here? We don't have any of these hats left. I'll have to ask the COE what's up with that. But yeah, Karma's back in the hood. My mother-in-law is in the hood. And today, listen to this. Graduation is at 4 o'clock Eastern time. It is 1:22. And the COE says to me, and I quote, "We need to get there at about 2:30 to save a seat." This is 5th grade graduation, and I love my daughter. This is 5th grade graduation. I was telling people because there was a party yesterday. There's a party. I am outnumbered heavily by women here. Thank God for Big Mac by my side. But there was a big party yesterday, and at the party, I mean, I was telling people, what about you guys? Did you guys have a 5th grade graduation? Let me go off the rails for a few minutes. I didn't have graduation. I graduated 5th grade in, I don't know, 1979. There was no 5th grade graduation. It was like, you're going to be walking to middle school next year. I was lucky to have a high school graduation, but definitely there was no 5th grade graduation. Were there 5th grade graduations where you were? I'm worried for our society. Even Canine Catherine with the laugh emoji or cry. What kind of emoji is that? It's a crying emoji saying crazy. Please send our love to Carm. I will. Carm is feisty. Carm's feeling guilty because I wrote a book about her, and then she's going to help me with a book about me and my dad. And so the first thing she said is we got to get cracking on that, which we will next week. But I started this I apologize. It's been a really weird, wacky week. Yet another one. So next week we're going to get back on track with more consistent evening shows. We're very consistent in what we do, but got to attend to graduation. Space Coast on the West Coast. His mother is in my house. No one cared about me going from 5th to 6th grade. LOL. Space Coast, I've been eating low carb, eating healthy until Sandy walked into my door with churros and assorted other sweet carbs that have now destroyed everything I've worked for. So could thank your mom for ruining my diet. Nikki Cuds, she said now they have a graduation for everything. Yeah, they should give them trophies at graduation too. I mean, it's nice. It's sweet. Betty Johnston says no 5th graduation, 5th grade. Yeah, I don't think anyone of a certain age had a 5th grade graduation. Not then, but now. My daughter had 5th grade graduation in 2002. There you go. Wow, I'm impressed that you even remember the year. So this creep, Sean Diddy Combs, the trial continues. I imagine the government is going to finish next week. I cannot see this going much beyond Jane on the stand. Jane will be on the stand tomorrow. I bet you Monday, possibly Tuesday, maybe another witness or two, and then it will be the defense's turn. So I'm hoping the week after next could be the end of all this. And thank heavens that Karen Reed trial looks like it's getting close to the end there. They don't have court today, which is too bad because that's just one more day. I got to deal with that. Look at this. Alice Ryder Feld, a lawyer living in Miami. My son had a graduation from mommy and me at 1 year old. I think we had that too, to be honest, but I don't remember already. And look at this. Most important, Canine Catherine. My dog had graduation from Canine Good Citizen School, which means nothing. He still doesn't listen. And I'll add to that. My beloved Mabel Rose, I think I've talked about this. When we lived in Tucson, she had to go to rattlesnake training because she would go for walks with Dog Day Adventures in the desert and the washes, which are, I don't know why they're dried up rivers. Why do you call them a wash? Because there's nothing in there. But Mabel Rose would go off leash in there, and she had to get rattlesnake training. And there was a ceremony for the pups after rattlesnake training. That I was totally on board with. Now, my daughter's graduation, I'm on board with it. Chantabelle says, I'm also worried for society. I mean, she's so happy, my kid. I think they're exhausted too. Let's see here. Debbie Blair giving us an update on the other trial. The defense should end their case, Karen Reed, on Tuesday, but then there's still Hank's rebuttal case. Yes. Yes, there is. Super Planner, our friend, helping us out behind the scenes. My dog graduated from obedience class, and she still walks on tables, and that's what she wants. Dogs just do whatever they want, and they just get away with it because they lick your face afterwards. That's the problem. Fred's a little aggressive, man. Fred's a little aggressive with the kisses. He could have been a form of a Diddy in a prior life, I think. So Ethel's the most misunderstood. Yesterday, I guess my middle one's new phrase is low key. She says, I low key think I like Ethel more because I think she needs the attention more. She also, uses the word low key for other things, but she used it in that context yesterday. Ooh, Space Coast with Bowser. Bostons are allowed to do whatever they want. He's had Boston Terriers for a long time now. One thing people don't know about Space Coast is he's got Fuzzy. Fuzzy's been in the family longer than anybody. Fuzzy is a parrot, and really the only one that can contain or control Fuzzy is Space Coast. I love Fuzzy, but I don't understand birds because I've never had one. And if I get too close, sometimes he will, I don't know, what's the word? Squawk. He will make a weird noise. By the way, have you guys seen the eaglet in, now I'm way off the reservation, but I'm having fun. We'll go a couple more minutes. But the little eaglet in California, I guess it's Big Bear. I think it's Big Bear. Finally took off the other day, and now they say they don't. It's supposed to come back. They're little female eaglets, and I was reading that I think it's like 4 or 5 years old before they really start to look like a bald eagle. They don't get the bald head or the white head and the yellowish beak. Like that doesn't fully come in till they're 4 or 5 years old. I think I'd much rather live in Miami than Tucson. Tucson, Arizona in the summer, to hear 110 degrees is very typical. That's not you wake up anywhere else in the country and they're like, oh, it's 110 today. You're just not leaving the house. It's a whatever. Kids are off at camp because it's a heat wave. But in Tucson, that's every day. And in Phoenix, it's like 5 to 8 degrees warmer. So in Phoenix, it's like 115, 118. I've told this story before, but I was a dum-dum when I worked there, and I would wear like shoes, like leather shoes. I would never wear shoes if I was reporting anymore, but I did back then. And suddenly my feet would feel like they were literally in flames, and I would look down and I would feel or touch that leather. And after standing out to do a live shot in that sun, your leather shoes would be very, very hot. Joel, please stream Lori. I'm gonna have to defer to the COE on that one. We can't really do it either way till next week, and this is like going to be like a 4-day trial, from what I understand. So I think we're going to end up missing it. But I'll get with the person you should really be begging is Space Coast on the West Coast. But oh yeah, look, it's going to be tough because it starts in 1 minute. Is she coming in a wheelchair today? Do we know? And also, I heard that they were going to TBD the start of her trial based on how sick she is. But I guess you're welcome. Thank you, Zach. But I guess she's feeling well enough. I'm just all Lori Valid out. I'm all Karen Reed out. We need something new. And I haven't even done the Karen Reed. Diddy needs to just go away, as in be handcuffed and taken to prison. And I think the jury's got to have made up their mind with Sean Diddy Combs by now. So who knows? Emmy telling us no wheelchair, but she does. Lindsay, look, no wheelchair, but she does have a migraine. Imagine being her cellmate, no wheelchair today. She's going to have a migraine for the however long she's alive for. I'm daybelled out too, Lindsay, and like I understand getting justice for these other victims, but this woman is just going to be a raving lunatic behind bars for the rest of her life. She's going to be like Sarah Boone, who's just writing letters. It's like, if a tree falls in the forest and nobody's there, do you really hear it or did it really fall? Same thing with Sarah Boone. She's writing letters to Judge Cranick, but she's in prison now for the rest of her life. Does anyone really care? Is she ever get out? No. Same thing with Lori Valade Bell. They're of the same, cut from the same cloth. So, Project Band shirt. I've never liked a comment more than this. And try going on X. I had a couple of dopey dopes comment. It's funny. I haven't even covered the case, haven't even said anything, and people were giving me a hard time on X. And then I decided to tee off on them. That's what I did. And it was funny because I like fighting every once in a while on X. It's like cathartic. Feel good. Feel good sometimes when I get to voice my opinion on X about that particular trial. It is amazing. Space Ghost says X is mostly bots these days. I'm sure. It's funny. Bill Burr, who I just think Bill Burr is a comedic genius, and he's got an amazing Instagram account under the handle Wilford Burr for Bill Burr. And the other day, it was like I don't even know what you call it, like a meme video. And on the writing was, "This is who you're arguing with online." And it just showed like different hard drives, computer hard drives. And then the implication was that they're all bots. And that's true. It's probably who I'm spending a majority of my time speaking to on X, are hard drives. So tells you a lot about my life. Canine Catherine, perhaps. Joe, I'm going to send you an audio message. Thank you. I appreciate that. Long time no speak, Lindsay. We got to catch up. Canine Catherine, why would you go on X? I don't know. It's really a bad idea. It serves absolutely no good. Yeah, basically, this is what I'm doing, arguing with ChatGPT, basically. What a world. Anyway, great seeing all of you. Very short day in court today. It's weird. The last thing I'll say is this, because it's kind of scary, but I was at a party yesterday, and these are people who are not following this. Oh, yeah, I have to go to save seats in a minute, 4 hours early. Yeah, I was at this party yesterday, and people were talking about Diddy, and a vast majority just said they don't really know the case. They haven't really been following. Just because it's Diddy, they were all saying he's going to walk, he's going to walk, he's going to walk, he's going to walk. It'd be wild in a very bad way if this guy walks. I just can't see it. On the sex trafficking, potentially on the RICO, he could. I don't know. But that guy needs to be locked up. So there you go. Thursday's in the books. Tomorrow, by the way, Phil has his own son's 40th birthday. So I'm going to hit up Scott Duffy right now. And if there's a case, we kind of do off the beaten path cases on Fridays and or police interviews. So if there's a famous police interview or one that's particularly interesting or a current case in the news. And by the way, we did the absolutely horrific story on the guy, Travis Decker in Washington State, who is accused of killing his 3 daughters, and he's on the lam. I have a feeling he's unalived somewhere in the woods out there, but we did a story about him tomorrow. But if you guys have an idea for a story for Scott, and it will likely be Phil Ramos with him, the former Las Vegas homicide detective, send me an email, survivingthesurvivor@gmail, survivingthesurvivor@gmail. It could be a story, and it could also be a famous police interview. Doesn't even have to be famous, but an interesting police interview. Let me know. Thank you, Brad. Appreciate that. And go, Joel. There we go. Key off. That's got to be one of these Aussie type sayings, I guess. All right, everybody. Love you. We'll see you tomorrow with Scott and someone else. And then we'll be back full force next week. Have a great day. Congrats to my beautiful daughter on her 5th grade graduation. I'll be going to get a seat in less than an hour for a graduation that starts in 3 hours. See you then.